Good morning, folks. Welcome to Awakening Israel. My name is Dr. Kent. I don't like introducing myself on these things. I really don't. Let me see if I can adjust this lighting, this incredible expensive studio lighting for us. All right. I think that helps a little bit. Folks, this is going to be Awakening Israel, and this is my address to the Amish people. I've hung out in Amish territory quite a bit. I like it out that way. I know that the Amish have a tremendous streak of innocence about them. I know that they don't even want to defend their lives. At least they harm somebody else. I can appreciate that. It reminds me of the old stories of a particular tribe of Israel that refused to go to war against their brothers, so they just picked up and moved, and they kept moving. I believe that's the group that went to Greece, thereafter went to Spain, thereafter went to Scotland. But the Amish tend to speak German, so that throws that out. That throws that theory right out, doesn't it? I still got a bit of reflection on the screen I don't like. When I move in this way, it's bad. I see it. When I'm over here, I don't see it as much. I hope it doesn't interfere with you. Maybe it's just on my end. Okay, the problem right now is that because this government can't deal with you folks, with you Amish folks, you're so vicious, you're so violent, you're so mean and evil, and you like to fight wars and all that stuff. They decided to fight a war against you. And I really don't want to be telling you this, but they have attacked you and your heartland. Why? There's no other way to get you off those farms and no other way to corrupt that soil than what they just did. Why do they want to do that? Well, you see, these guys believe that it is in their purview and that they have been given the reins of the earth. They've been given controls to be able to wage pestilence, famine, and war on the rest of us. That's what they deliver to us. And of course, Yahweh in his wonderful book tells us that this is what's coming our way when we disobey him, when we turn our backs on him, and when we become his enemies. This is what happens. And so here we are, just like the mutual grandfathers and grandmothers that we share, that you and I share, that were at Mount Sinai, that made the deal. And the deal was very simple. The agreement was that we were going to abide by his 10 commandments. We were going to be his people. He was going to be our God. That's what it was. The problem is that we have the evil ones, and we live inside the beast system that's been taken over. It's been taken over by a horrible group, the Radanites from Radan, R-H-A-D-A-N, a suburb in Babylon, and the Edomites from Mount Seir, from Esau, a group that migrated up and helped the Khazarians to convert to their newfound faith of Judaism in about 700 AD. And so we have a bunch of these people hiding among the Jews, using the Jews, misusing the Jews, and there probably isn't a greater example of this than there is in Edwin Black's book, The Transfer Agreement. The Transfer Agreement documents basically two different groups of Jews being represented and vying to work out a deal with Adolf Hitler so they could transfer the wealth from Germany into the Middle East and start Israel. So the bad guys obviously won out. Why? How? Why? Well, they were willing to murder the good Jews. They went after them and they assassinated them. They killed them. And so I think that is a reflection upon Isaiah's adages, the good figs and the bad figs. So you had two different groups that were vying for the rights to negotiate with the National Socialist in order that they could establish Israel there in the Promised Land. And that's not Israel, it's really Rothschild land, or it's Khazaria. It's certainly not Israel. The bulk of the Israelite peoples are not represented by them. The house of Israel is dispersed far and wide. We're all over the planet today. We are in our homelands, as best I can tell. Unless, of course, these devils succeed in reducing our populations down, which is what they're intent upon doing. They're going to reduce our numbers drastically. And they will get away with it if we do not figure this out. So what is it the Amish are going to do when they find out that the dioxin, the poisoning of their lands, was done on purpose by the United States government? I don't know. What is Germany going to do now that they found out that the pipeline was destroyed by the United States, the United Kingdom, and Norway working together? What are they going to do about that? What is Russia going to do about it? You see, the biggest problem of all is we let a little evil slide, and then it just builds more on top of each other. And right now, we've got the wrong guy in office for sure. As a matter of fact, it's probably Barack Obama running the show today. And he and his wife, his transgendered wife, they hate America. They hate us. They want to destroy us. So that's what's going on, and we're letting it happen. It's really pretty sad. They could have handled that train accident many different ways, but I really think they did that whole thing on purpose, including lighting the fire on the train 20 miles before it derailed, and including deciding they're going to burn it all off in an uncontrolled burn while the people are unsuspecting and poison us all. I think that's what they're doing, is they're waging chemical warfare against their own people. Or are we actually their people? Are we just their slaves? I think there's a great argument that could be made to say we're just enslaved to them. We're on a plantation, they own it, and they run it. So we're fighting on all fronts. We've been given the scriptures, the Bible. We've been working on better translations and better understanding. And it's not a book that lends itself to the casual reader, to casual reading. We actually have to press in order to understand what it really says. I hate seeing the Amish attacked. I hate seeing those lands destroyed. But that's what they've done. That's what they're doing. And they haven't made a single move yet to contain that. So I think what we have to do is demand that Biden be taken out of office immediately. And maybe Kamala has to be taken out of office immediately. And this new Speaker of the House, I didn't want him at first. But at this point in time, I'd rather have Kevin McCarthy as president than either of those two people. And I think he actually might do a good job. He's been doing, at least he's putting on a good show as Speaker of the House. Whether or not he holds to that is a whole nother deal. So what would I like to see you do? I'd like to see you getting politically active. I'd like to see you demanding they take Joseph Robinette Biden out of office and Kamala Harris out of office as fast as possible. We're being attacked on all fronts. I didn't think Trump was that great of a president. I didn't think things were that good when he was president. But certainly we weren't being attacked directly like we are now. The problem is we put all of our faith in man and in men, and we can't be doing that. And you, my Amish friends, already know that. You already know there's one Creator Father. And I know you call us the English because you speak German. I understand that. And I know that you're hard workers. I know that you're outside of the system for good reason, and you've been outside of the medical system for quite a while. But I tell you, I was a little bit disturbed when I got the last work done on my rig there when I was in Amish territory a few years back, 2 years ago. And I found out that you are now subjecting yourself to modern medical treatments, which I will not name, lest I get another strike and not be able to upload for a while. So I know that the Amish don't want to be involved in our wars. They don't want to be involved politically either. Well, you don't have a choice because they're taking it to you. And they're going to continue to attack you and to attack us until we actually stand up and call them on their stuff. We need to call out the evil for what it is. So, if in case you're wondering, this is the culmination of the beast system. And you will find that in the second apocryphal, the second book of Esdras in the Apocrypha books. And you have to be careful the source on that, because if you go, you may have a better source of that than we have. And if you do, I want to know the source. And I want to know how many verses in particular you have in 2 Esdras and some of those chapters, because the 1611 King James Bible, some of it was from the Latin Vulgate, and it lacks tremendously important passages to me in my life and what I've witnessed and what I know to be true, and the rest of the people are deprived of it as well. So I don't know what's in the Amish Bible. I think that would be helpful if you brought that forward. I mean, why not tell us what you know and what you believe? Why not get outside of yourselves and help us out and help us to help you? We know that you aren't going to defend yourselves very overtly. How far does that go? How far do you let them push you until the point where you actually raise a gun, even if it is a straight-walled cartridge, and you don't allow yourself to use a bottleneck cartridge, because that would be a sin according to your bishops today? I think it's incredible that you actually are allowed to hunt and use guns these days. It has to be a straight-walled cartridge. Wow. Talk about the devil being in the details. You ought to adopt the doggone bottlenose cartridge, the 308 is what you ought to adopt. There's other cartridges as well that have more pressure than a straight-walled cartridge and do a better job. But I have to admit, some of those big pieces of lead that get thrown off by those straight-walled cartridges, man, it's got to be like getting hit with a boxcar, with a railroad car, which is kind of what you got hit with there in Ohio at East Palestine. I'll call it Palestine, Palestine, whatever, however they want to say it. We know that the dioxins are spreading all the way around that place. You could see, and it has not been well documented, certainly not by this government. They will not protect us. This government is waging war against us. And now you Amish are in on it too. And that saddens me, because you don't have a peaceful existence anymore. You've got horrible poisons on your lands and in your water as well. I thought I had a great bunch of information for you. Instead, I find myself begging you, come forward with the Bibles that you're using. Come forward with your understanding and let us know. Let us compare notes. Let us, above all, look at this beast system. Look at the book of Daniel and look at its logical projection into the Ezra, or Esdras, the Latinized version of Ezra's name, because he's got 3 books. 2 of them are in the Apocrypha. You might have better text than we have. Please share that with us if you have it. I don't have much more except to say that we are working on coming up with a better version of the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha was meddled with by the Jesuits, unfortunately, and at the Edict of Nantes, where they did their best to destroy the Reformation and undermine true believers, they decided that the Apocrypha was going to be canonized. Well, it was actually in there before that, but this whole thing, the name of Jesus, the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, the letter J in the English language, the Elizabethan era, the King James Bible, which was nothing more than his excuse to being able to divorce his wife, and he was a bad dude. I mean, this is all a very confusing time that comes out of the Shakespearean era. I'm trying not to say error, try to say era, E-R-A, but I'll tell you, the language traps that were set for us at Mount Babel are just incredible. The dual meanings, they bother me, they plague me immensely because I've become quite aware of them, and it's hard not to pay attention to those things. So I know they set language traps for us, and I know that in German you don't have synonyms. You don't have very good poetry either because you don't have anything that rhymes pretty much. So you're deprived of that, but I also think the language is far more accurate than English is. English is a slippery language. And at the Tower of Babel, our language was confused. And I'd love to know and hear from Yahweh myself sometime why he had to do that or partake in it. Who was the group that he participated in destroying the unity of man? What was so bad about us that they had to confuse our language and set up this Babel, if you will, these confusing terms, words with more than one meaning, and they use those as hidden meanings in order to pull their frauds off on us. Just part of their deception. I don't have anything else. I'm not really happy with this particular video this morning. The world is in a turmoil. They are going to unleash more stuff on us. The evil guys use the Bible as well. They use it as a playbook. They actually model a lot of things after it, thinking that it gives them license. And of course, part of that is to psych us out, psychological operations. So it is incredible how the Bible gets misused against believers, all because we don't press in and read our Bibles thoroughly enough. Which reminds me, that's what I should be doing, is reading the Bible right now. If you don't mind, it's exactly what I'm going to do. I can't wait to get some of my other business taken care of, get some things settled, because there's nothing more I want to do than take off this summer, get up in the mountains or maybe back into Amish country, but only in the safe areas. I'm not going to go into Ohio. I'm not going to go into the Ohio River Valley at all. And I probably won't go anywhere downriver from there into the Mississippi. I don't trust any of that stuff at this point. They're doing their best to turn this into the land of bitter waters, meaning poisonous waters, emotionally poisoned as well. We are fighting a terrible fight, and we are losing badly. We cannot win this without Yahweh. And so you've got to turn, and I've got to turn. We all have to turn fully to Yahweh, Creator, Father, God. May Yahweh bless. May Yahweh make America good again. May Yahweh help us to restore our republic, our Jeffersonian republic. That's all I got for you today, folks.